by miracle of sound. Alright, welcome back to the Shardbreaker podcast. This is episode 3 of Alloy of Law from Mistborn Era 2. This week we did chapters 7 through 9. I am Midnight, your host, and I am here with Darkness.
Hello.
And Midnight. Mythic!
Midnight! You're here with Midnight?
I'm here, guys.
Oh my
I'm
god.
just not here.
I'm sorry, I'm here with Mythic on his birthday.
Nope, not here.
I'm sorry.
Totally not here. Yep.
I'm
My birthday
sorry.
and
I'm sorry.
forgot all about me. I understand.
Oh my god, so I got people here, by the way. Just so you
Okay.
know, like, in the background.
Okay.
We might have a Jesus situation with a Blondie.
Okay.
Wow.
So I
Alright.
might just mute randomly, but I'll still answer and stuff.
Okay. So we start with chapter 7 with Merassi's point of view as she stands in front of Wax's mansion the morning after the attack at the wedding dinner. She holds her handbag in front of herself as a nervous habit, although one of her professors had told her that law keepers need to avoid obvious emotional tells like that. She glances at the mansion, knowing some apple trees in the garden, as the Lord Mistborn had put into law that any plants that are planted in gardens must provide food, even if the plants were just for decoration. All plants grow easily in the Elendel Basin, and Merassi thanks the survivor for that. So why do you think Merassi would thank Kelsier for the Elendel Basin being so bountiful when obviously it was Sazed who did that?
No. Kelsier is the better god. We already know this.
Right, because Kelsey's a god.
Mhm.
I mean, Kelsier definitely did not design the planet.
You don't know that.
I do know that.
No, you don't know that.
I do know that.
Kelsier could have been the actual architect.
No, he definitely wasn't.
He definitely was. I gotcha. It's okay. You're
Merassi.
just trying to throw us off.
Uh-huh,
you know?
for sure. Yep, definitely. Merassi finally builds up the courage to knock on the door to the mansion, and a butler opens the door. She says she's here to see
That
Wax.
Butler.
The butler. And she
I never trusted him.
never trust the butler.
I never trusted him when he opened the door. I was like, nope, not him. Nope.
She says
Don't
she says she's here to see Wax, and he reluctantly lets her in and gestures to the sitting room for her to wait. She notices that there seems to be less art on the walls than one would expect as she goes into the sitting room. As she waits for Wax, she thinks about how she had pictured Wax and Wayne in her younger days. The butler then comes back to bring Merassi up to Wax's study. Once upstairs, Merassi is brought to a cluttered room at the far western side of the mansion. Wax is inside working with some sort of chemistry set, and there is a large piece of paper with cramped writing on the floor. He shows Merassi some melted metal and asks if it looks blue to her, which it doesn't. After a moment, he explains that the aluminum gun and bullets aren't pure aluminum, and he's trying to figure out what alloy they are. He also goes on about the convenience of shopping in the city versus the roughs. So what do you think about Wax's hobby of metallurgy and how it helps him with his law work?
Everything has to do with metal. I swear, one day we're gonna come into a book where they just talk about how everybody is made of metal,
I mean,
but everybody's gonna be 16 years old.
Oh gosh.
You die at 16, since it's such a magical number.
is it even that strange that he, like... It's not even that strange that that's his hobby, though.
I don't know,
Really
just
not.
thought it was an interesting hobby. He's not just an action guy lawman, he's also a scientist.
Your face is a scientist.
Merassi then asks if they should be alone in a room together as it isn't proper, which Wax had completely forgotten about. He asks if he should bring T-Loom back, but she says that it isn't because she's uncomfortable, just that it would be proper. Wax, however, thinks these sorts of things are silly as they don't allow any trust. Wax then goes on about metallurgy and how adding a little bit of one metal to another can create something completely new. He then asks why Merassi is here, and she replies that Lord Harms had wanted to offer some money to help Wax with whatever he needs to save Steris. Wax is excited about that since he has spent a lot on his chemistry equipment. So what do you think about Lord Harms wanting to fund Wax to help save his daughter?
Tons. Finally, a good fucking father in these books. I swear.
We don't know that yet.
I know.
There's always gonna be a twist at the end, you know.
Yeah, it'll be it. He'll be the one that has funded them or something.
He's funding the criminals.
Yeah, exactly.
Wax and Merassi then talk back and forth about how the men seemed eager to try shooting people, meaning they weren't that smart or experienced of criminals, since most smart criminals would know that not murdering people would get you a lesser sentence if you get caught. They also think that because the criminals actually seemed interested in stealing things, that it must be two groups working together. One richer group who is paying the thieves to kidnap the women for them, and then obviously the vanishers who are the lesser criminals who are just interested in stealing things. So what do you think about there being two potential groups at work here?
Makes sense.
It's a lot better than the fucking 364 that there are in fucking what's it called? That other book we
Is
just read. What's
Stormlight?
that? Stormlight. We've got factions left and right.
So what sort of people also do you think would be behind the group that is wanting the kidnapped women?
Wait, what? Say that again.
What sort of people do you think are behind the group that want the kidnapped women? So we kind of have an idea of what their goal is, but like who do you think is behind it? Do you think it's like some nobles? Do you think it's like some people from out in the roughs? Do you think it's like what sort of people do you think are behind the richer group?
It's gonna be nobles posing as the top man, and it's actually gonna be someone out in the roughs that's actually the top man
Hmm.
or woman.
What do you think, Mythic?
Watch it be one of the faceless ones or whatever the fuck they're called.
Oh, you think the Conjurer behind it?
That's what I was actually thinking. Could be the Conjurer.
So Waxen shows Marassi the large sheet of paper where he had been working out the ancestry of the women that had been kidnapped. Marassi jokes about him not sleeping just to do this, but then realizes that Wax had known every Allomancer in each woman's bloodline and linked them all back to the Lord Mistborn. Wax notes how he thinks the men are not sure who all have elementic powers, so they may have just guessed wrong with Steris. Although Wax does note that Marassi is much further out from the Lord Mistborn's main lineage than the others, which he finds odd. So what were your first thoughts about Marassi being targeted but not being as well related to Spook as the others?
And I don't really know what to think. Honestly, she means her bloodline's thinned out. I guess. I don't know.
To be fair, I kind of zoned out through the question because I was thinking about something else, right?
Okay.
So you
Oh,
know how we got that half Kolos man type of thing, right?
Yeah, the Kolos-blooded person?
Would they be able to
Yeah.
breathe with a conjure?
That is a good question. I do not know. I don't know if the
Yes, you
Kandra...
do.
I don't know if the Kandra can have children. I don't think they have the ability to have children.
Okay, maybe the back then ones.
Yeah, I don't know. It depends if Harmony changed the Kandra or not.
Like they've changed everything else.
It's like, what if a conjure and a Kolos fuck?
Man, that'd be some cool art. Midnight,
The
can you find
fucking
that
part
art?
or the
No, I'm
aftermath?
not going to go try and find that.
Oh, I want to see art of a
Nope.
Kandra Kolos baby.
Nope.
I mean, just
Or the
her
process of it.
Nope.
Midnight or darkness. That means that it's true. Midnight won't look it up.
Imagine.
So Marassi then notes that the Vanishers are likely trying to breed an army instead of kidnapping one, which means Steris is in a different type of danger than they had thought. Wax agrees with her assessment and then says that Wayne will be back soon as Wax has sent him out to cause some mischief. So at this point, before you had read further, what sort of mischief did you think Wayne was doing?
Honestly, I didn't really give it any thought, so just figured he was out there doing something stupid.
Had you
Not,
given it
not
any
as cool as what he did.
Had you given it any thought, Darkness, or did you kind of just go along with it?
About what?
What Wayne
About
was
what Wayne
potentially
was.
doing.
What point in time is this?
So this is before we see Wayne's
Find
point
out
of
what Wayne
view.
is actually doing. Yeah.
No, honestly, I was more focused on what was happening with Wax.
That's fair. So then we get chapter 8, which we get a broadsheet page.
I was just waiting for the two of them to fuck. So.
Oh my gosh. Wax says he's not interested.
By ourselves.
Wax
Yeah,
says he's
okay.
not interested.
Okay.
So we get a broadsheet page. So one of our stories is about some sailors who had lost at sea for a while during a storm and came across a man on an island with weird animals who claimed that seafaring people stole his boat. So do you think that means there are other groups of people on Scadrial other than the people who like are left over from the Final Empire?
As in, like, world hoppers?
No, as in just like other peoples from Scadrial. Like, do you think there's a chance that there's like other groups of people that somehow survived
Like on the other side of the world.
everything? Yeah, because there's like this story saying like, oh,
Yeah,
there's
for
like
sure.
these seafaring people.
Mm-hmm. Didn't we kind of go over this once?
So yeah, I believe Harmony does say that he had sensed other people on the planet, but I don't think we got any confirmation that anyone like survived the like changeover that Harmony did. Because he like moved the planet, so it got like super fucking hot and like could have burned people alive and stuff.
Right. But if they were in, like, the colder parts of the world or stuff,
Either
would
like
it really
yeah,
have
if they were
mattered?
like at the if they were at like the I think originally the people from the Final Empire were near one of the poles and that's how they were surviving. I don't remember. But yeah, if they were somehow in like an area that was colder, or if they were like hidden in caves like the rest of the people in the Final Empire, then they might have survived. But it sounds like if they were kind of just out in the open when it all happened, they would have been fucked.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think, Mythic? What do you think about potential other peoples besides the people from the Final Empire?
Sounds neat. Can't wait to see them. Obviously exist.
We also get a small article paid for by the Coachmen's Union talking about how dangerous motor cars are compared to horse-drawn carriages with coachmen. Definitely not biased. We get an ad for a metallurgist stating that they will pay for scrap metal. We get a warning of sightings of Iron Eyes, who's also called Death, and ways to keep him from your home. We get a brief article about a woman who was saved from a fire, claiming the person had the face of her dead husband. The article asks if it was a faceless immortal or just a delusion. There's also a political ad for Feltree, claiming he is for passion and freedom, paid for by the canal workers. And we get an article paid for by the Association of Transport Interests, claiming that motor cars are much better than horses and carriages. So we got like these competing unions who are like, nah, horses and carriages are better. No, motor cars are better.
Really, neither one of them are good.
Honestly, everyone should just be like Lyft and just like slide around frictionless as a mode of transportation.
I agree with that, actually.
So we switch to Wayne's point of view as he goes towards the 4th Octant's constabulary. He's wearing a constable's hat that he thinks makes his ears too warm, and he then bursts into the constabulary. He asks who's in charge and thinks that he's also wearing a constable's uniform from the 7th Octant that he traded for using a nice shirt. One of the officers tells Wayne to go to Constable Breton, and Wayne asks where he is, using an accent he picked up from listening to some of the Connors. So what did you think about Wayne pretending to be a cop?
That whole process, that whole thing he does was funny as fuck to me.
Yeah, I thought it was hilarious too.
I love how in character he gets.
Mm-hmm.
Great. He's such a method actor. Wayne stalks over to Breton's office door, acting like he was going to throw it open, and then hesitating as he knocks. His character was slightly outranked by Breton. Breton throws his door open, and Wayne introduces himself as captain of the 7th Octant. Breton was known for forgetting people, so Wayne pretended he had gone to a dinner together with him in the spring. Breton pretends to remember Wayne as Wayne asks about captured vanishers. Breton insists they have jurisdiction, but then ushers Wayne into his office to not cause a scene in front of the other constables. So what did you think about Wayne doing like a ton of research to get like the right accent and know like what rank to impersonate so that Breton would be like willing to talk to him but also feel like partially superior over him?
Well, he's definitely done this before.
So Breton tells Wayne that he sent a missive to the other Octants, and Wayne gives in to him for now and asks about when they'll send the prisoners to the 7th Octant as they have jurisdiction from the prior attack. Wayne pretends to have sent a missive about it this morning and then says to avoid so much paperwork he'll agree to allow Breton to prosecute, but he needs time to interview them so his Octant can go after the Vanisher's boss. He negotiates time and how many of the prisoners he can talk to. So what did you think of Wayne's ability to manipulate Breton into letting him talk with the Vanishers?
Crazy. I thought it was more crazy though the way he got them to talk to him though.
Yeah, we'll get to that. He's so
The
good
fact
at
that-
manipulating people.
The fact that he gets people to do shit so easily is so fucking stupid. Like, God.
He's
It reminds me a lot of me. No, I'm just...
I mean, it does kind of remind me a lot of you, to be honest.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Wayne definitely has very high charisma.
Yeah.
Sometimes.
No, Wayne always has high charisma.
No.
When does Wayne not have high charisma?
When he's
When
like...
he's dying.
I was gonna say when he's fucking shot on the gun.
No, not very charismatic man, bitch.
So after a bit, Wayne is led downstairs, and he recognizes one of the prisoners as a man that he broke the arm of. He asks if the prisoners have talked much, but the constables reply that they seem afraid to talk. The prisoner is manacled to a table, and Wayne sits down at it. He begins talking in his constable accent, and the prisoner spits on him. Wayne then switches accents and quiets his voice, pretending to be part of the Vanishers here in disguise to help him. He gets some information about who is most likely to give away information, and also determines that the person he thought was the boss is actually not. As the guy begins to get suspicious of Wayne, Wayne says that he's ready for the next prisoner. So what did you think about Wayne getting as much information as possible before the guy got suspicious of him?
And he's good at what he does.
Once again, he's done this before.
Mm-hmm. 100%.
Also, what did you think about Wayne getting the information on which of the captured men would most likely break and like give in?
I mean, that was just smart and stupid on the other dude's part.
Yup.
He should definitely have not done that.
He got the accent right. It's all about the accent.
Yep.
So Wayne then picks out Sindrin, the guy the other prisoner had mentioned, and brings him to a table. Breton didn't like the whispering, so Wayne puts up a speed bubble and tells the guy not to move at all or they'll get caught. He again pretends to be part of the Vanishers and uses the names and information from the previous guy to get the trust of Sindrin. He gets the location of where the one base Sindrin knows of is and gets any other information he can out of him before giving him advice on how to get out of this. including the name of a solicitor that is supposed to be a good man. Wayne then drops his speed bubble, and Sindred acts like he isn't going to tell Wayne anything. They go on for 5 minutes before Wayne leaves in a huff, pretending to be upset that he didn't get any useful information.
Yeah.
So what do you think about how Wayne used the information he got from the other captured Vanisher to manipulate Sindred into giving him, like, pretty much everything?
I mean, I liked it. I think I liked more his, like, backup plan of later tell them everything so that they'll come, do whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, I like that. That was smart.
Yeah, he's still giving the cops the chance to do their job if him and Wax can't figure it out, but also
Or they
giving him and
die.
Wax time.
Was there a question asked?
Yes, it was. What did you think about
Oh.
Wayne being able to manipulate Sindred by using the information from the other captured Vanisher?
Right, that was the question. It's just like that was like a little bit back, but
Bag?
yeah, you guys started talking for a bit. You're talking about when he goes and like figures out who's like the weak link, right?
Well, no, afterwards. So he's talking to the weakling, and he like uses the name of the recruiter that the other guy gave him to be like, oh,
Right.
yeah.
Yeah. That's pretty cool. He did stumble on like some of his like things, but he like fixed it real quick. And honestly, if there were anyone more aware of how things worked, I'm pretty sure it wouldn't not have worked.
Also, what do you think about Wayne giving Sindred advice on how to get away from the Vanishers without jail time?
Kind of Batman-y. Actually.
Batman-y.
He's like, I can tell you
Yeah.
fell into this because you needed money. Here's how to like get away, go out and like live in the roughs or something. Like,
It's kind of Batman-y or like Spider-Man-y actually, because like they'll both like they'll understand that the like people do the bad stuff because they had situations that are terrible.
Mm-hmm.
But like if it's really somebody who wants to get out of it and has the opportunity to get out of it, they'll like provide a way to like do that.
Yeah.
How young was this person, by the way?
I think he's probably either a late teens, early 20s. It sounds like he was supposed to be quite
Yeah.
young.
Supposed to be? You mean like he dies or something?
No, I'm just saying I don't think they give an age. So like based on like like the way he's like portrayed, I'm assuming he's like younger. So then we get chapter 9, and we switch to Wax's point of view as he and Marassi sit on the floor in front of the large paper with the ancestry on it, and Wax talks about the amount of metals in allomancy and feruchemy. Wax then asks Marassi why she is interested in law, and as his interest was in learning the answers to questions and secrets. Marassi replies that people who deviate from the gray areas of morality, both on the good and evil side, intrigue her. Wax then admits that he isn't an overtly good person. He chose most of his first targets because they had the highest rewards for capture, and he had been low on food and funds. Marassi seems disappointed at first, but then even more eager to learn as it makes Wax more real and less of a story. So what do you think of Wax and Marassi's different reasons for wanting to work in law enforcement?
Sounds realistic. Nobody does things for, the good reason. They all do it for themselves.
Mm-hmm.
What do you mean? Wayne literally does it for the good reason.
What the?
I feel like Wayne does it because it's fun.
Yeah.
Which is a good reason.
Okay. The just and moral reasons.
Yeah, not for the good of all people. They don't do it for.
Just the good of themselves.
Because it's something that interests them in some way or another.
I mean, is that not a good reason though?
I mean, that's not what he.
Okay.
But that wasn't what I think Mythic was using the word "good" for. Like, it
I
can be
know,
a good
I'm
reason to get.
I mean, is it a good reason? Sure. I mean, I think doing it for food, going to a job or whatever, and doing something you're good at for food or whatever it is, because then I think he say something about the one dude was a shoe person, and he figured if he finished that he could get free shoes or something like that. Like, I mean, it's good. Don't get me wrong. It's a good idea because you're providing for yourself, but it's not in the good of all people kind of thing.
Yeah. I mean, just because you aren't doing it for like super morally just reasons doesn't mean you're not still a good person for doing that line of work, right?
I
You
don't
can
know
still-
about that.
You can still do good
He's
things.
not a good person.
I think he's a good person.
I think he's a terrible
You
person.
would think he's a good person.
So Wax then tells Marassi that she could be like him as the Ascendant Warrior had proven that women could be powerful and strong. Marassi, however, admits that she likes wearing dresses and the convenience of the city. Instead,
I feel like she's lying.
You think so?
About the
feel like
dresses?
About just that she doesn't compare herself to Vin, or that she doesn't like, what was the word? Like, the way she conveys it, it's almost like she would rather let them do all of this stuff and she just finds it interesting. She doesn't actually have like an interest in doing this herself, which I don't think is true. I think she actually does have an interest in doing this.
Mm,
Hmm.
yeah,
I think she
I
just
agree
doesn't
with
want to
that.
shoot people.
Yeah, well, she said. I mean, the next part of this paragraph kind of says like
Yeah.
she wants to change the city in different ways, not just like taking out criminals herself. Because it says specifically says instead she
So she
wants to.
doesn't want to do the dirty work.
Yeah,
Yeah, she
instead she
doesn't want
wants
to
to
do dirty
change.
work, but she's fine with.
Instead, she wants to change the city in a different way than how Wax was trying to help the roughs. She shows some reports she's doing on how crime is affected by the environment and how one lord had renovated and improved a bad area of the city and crime had went down. Morassi seems very excited about how fixing up the city could reduce crime more than hiring more constables.
It's pretty interesting how she chose the approach of like admiring their work though, rather than judging them for having a different way of doing stuff.
Yeah, she's like, I understand the need for constables, but also she's kind of more of the like, if we give people better options, they will make better choices instead of just punish criminals. She's kind of like wanting to solve like the reasoning behind criminals,
Mm-hmm.
like being criminals,
I don't believe that though either. But
Why are you a criminal, Minate?
because it's fun.
All that tax evasion?
Yeah,
Interesting.
yeah, 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 obviously.
I mean, who wouldn't like tax evasion? Honestly.
So Waxon mentions that Wayne should be back by now, and Wayne pops into the room, stating he had been back for a
No,
while, but
he sat and waited.
yeah,
The man listened to this conversation.
yeah, stating he had been back for a while, but the two had seemed to be having a smart people moment, so he didn't want to
Oh my
interrupt.
god.
Wayne then mentions getting scones from the Dirty Connors, while Wax just replies that they are Dirty Connors themselves. Wax doesn't agree though, as he says they aren't anymore. They're now independent. He then shows Wax a paper that has the location of the Vanishers and the name of the recruiter. Morassi wants to hurry off to go there, but Wax replies that after some of their guys were captured, it's unlikely they're still there. He does want to go fairly quickly though, before the scene gets too cold. So do you think the Vanishers location will be abandoned, or do you think there's still going to be people there when Wax and Wayne get there?
I don't know. I don't know if they're gonna get there, to be
No,
honest.
they're gonna be alerted. They got inside people on everywhere.
Yeah, yeah, they
Apparently.
do. That's what I'm saying. So there's no way they're gonna be there. That dude probably ran and told straight up.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, the butler's dead. We're going to get to that, but he's dead now.
Yeah, I'm sure. I'm sure. Dead people.
So Morassi then asks about telling the constables about this information, but Wayne replies they'll know by nightfall. Wayne asks for compensation for his information in the form of expensive metal, and Wax replies that it's on the table. Wayne glances at the table where all of Wax's chemistry equipment is, and is reluctant to go near it since it had exploded once before on him, and he had to regrow his fingers.
It had what?
It had exploded on him before.
Oh, I heard
Exploded.
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 It exploded.
I heard it too. I was like,
No,
Exploded.
exploded. She said it. We all heard it.
Wayne then grabs a bottle of Bendeloy flakes, complaining about the amount, but Wax replies it was the most he could get in such a short time frame. Wax is then surprised by Morassi wanting to come with them to the Vanisher's hideout, and she states that it'll be fine since Wax said there likely won't be anyone there. Wax is still concerned that they want her though, but then questions again why they would want to kidnap Morassi. Wax no longer believes she was a decoy and deduces that she is an illegitimate half-sister of Steris, and Morassi confirms this. Wayne then calls out Wax, basically calling Morassi a bastard, and Wax apologizes. It makes more sense to him now why Steris had thought to bring up a mistress clause in their marriage contract, and why Lord Harms was willing to pay for Morassi's education. So what do you think about Morassi secretly being Steris's half-sister?
Crazy.
Thickness?
I was thinking about it. I thought we knew this already, though.
No, we had been told she was her cousin.
Oh, that's why. Oh, okay.
Yeah. So she'd been introduced as Steris's cousin, who had lived like kind of not
And she's
really in
actually
the
her
city.
half sister.
Yeah, and that's why
Wait, so
like
wait, so technically her relation to
Spook is a lot closer because it was
yeah.
because the reason she wasn't as close to Spook's heritage was because of her supposed father. But if her father is actually the same as Steris' father, then she actually is the type of person that the Vanishers would want.
Now, I just want to know how the family drama works out there.
Yeah, I mean, it must be awkward. It's like, oh yeah, here's your illegitimate half-sister who your dad cheated on your mom with and had. She's gonna come stay with us while she's like in
Oh, and also
university.
she's your cousin now.
I think that's just a front.
I know, but like still.
Just call her your cousin. It's fine. Also, what do you think about how Steris' father's affair has affected the way Steris views marriage?
Nah, it's not that. She originally just wants to hook up with everyone.
Okay. What do you think, Mythic, about how the affair affected Steris' view of marriage?
That affect everybody's view on relationships. Come on.
So Wayne drinks his tea after putting in his Bendeloy flakes, and a moment later topples over as he states the tea was poisoned. Wax spins over.
So funny. I loved the whole. He drinks it and then he goes, "Tastes like poison."
And he goes, "Huh, the tea's poisoned," and then just
Yeah,
plops over.
and then just plops over. Like, okay.
It's like, oh, yeah. Wax
He's been
spins.
poisoned.
Wax spins around to see Tealoom pulling out a pistol and pointing it at him. Wax burns his steel, causing his one metal button to fly at Tealoom and hitting him in the chest so that his shot goes wild. Wax notes that the gun and bullet are aluminum, as they don't give him a blue line. So what did you think about the butler trying to kill them?
That's not very Alfred of him.
Alfred. Right.
What did you think? Were you surprised the butler tried to kill them?
Nope. Wasn't surprised at all. I was actually more wondering why he was so adamant about him not, going down this line of work. So.
Well, I think Wax says later that, like, it might have been the butler didn't fully want to kill him.
Yeah,
and that's why,
100%. But I'm saying, like, even before, when they were having that conversation and he had made an offhanded comment, I was like, bro, you're just a butler. Like, what does it matter to you? Just serve the tea.
But also, like, how long has he been there?
It sounds like he's been there,
Forever.
like, probably his whole adult life. Like, it sounds like he served his uncle for a really long time. I'm assuming he's been there for, like, 30, 40 years or something.
Off with his head. Oh, wait. His head has already been offed.
It's been burned to a crisp and exploded.
Kinda.
So Wax goes to check on Wayne as the butler stumbles and falls over. Marassi urgently gets Wax's attention back on the butler as he causes an explosion from something within the basket he had brought with the tea. Wayne quickly puts up a speed bubble, freezing the explosion as it engulfs the basket. Wax and Wayne begin discussing how to escape.
He didn't freeze it. He slows it down.
Yes,
it's very
extremely
clear.
slowed down.
Yeah, but it's very clear when she continues to say.
Yeah, she's like, it's
growing.
growing.
I was just like, yes, because it's not frozen.
Yeah, it's not frozen.
Of course not.
Of
course it's gonna move.
Yes, it's slowed down exponentially. She's just like freaking out. They were just like having a chill discussion about like, we could do this and this and this.
Yeah, I mean they've probably been through this like however many times, you know. So.
So Wax and Wayne begin discussing how to escape as Marassi insistently mentions how the explosion is getting larger and larger. Wax and Wayne continue discussing their options until Wax decides to grab Marassi and pull her on top of him as he makes himself extremely heavy for a moment to break through the floor. As they leave Wayne's speed bubble, the explosion engulfs the room above them. So what did you think about Wax's idea to break through the floor to protect them from the explosion?
That's right.
Yeah, to think of something, honestly.
So Wax then moves Wayne, who had fallen on top of them, and blocked the brunt of the explosion. His back was burnt and bloody. Wax worries for a moment that Wayne may be dead because he had just healed from the poison tea, but he is able to feel a faint pulse on Wayne's neck. Wax sees Wayne's back begin to heal and thinks it takes less healing to do it slowly, so Wayne would likely take a while since he hadn't had much health stored after the fight the other night. Wax asks if Marassi has any injuries, but she starts listing facts again about how most people can't tell if they're hurt due to the trauma. Wax prods at her for injuries before she breaks down and hugs him. So what did you think about Wayne using his own body to protect Wax and Marassi from the explosion?
He's just a chill guy. You know, it would have hurt if he died.
I mean, it would have really hurt just getting your back exploded. Burnt.
I'm sure the butler can tell us.
Not anymore, he can't.
I imagine the butler dies and Harmony just shows up and starts like shaking his head at the butler as the butler slowly fades to the beyond.
Who's the one that fucking texted him? Alright. That one did.
So Wayne groans nearby, and Wax begins to worry about the other servants in the house, although he isn't sure if the other servants were also in on whatever Tealoom had been doing. Wayne then asks about his jacket as his back begins to scab over, and he sits up. Wax replies that he'll need a very large patch, but at least he kept his fingers this time. He then glances at Marassi, who tries to appear strong. Wax then helps Wayne by tearing off the burnt layer of flesh that had fresh skin underneath it. Marassi says she thinks she's going to be sick. So what do you think?
Told you not to look.
What?
Well, I'm gonna be sick.
I don't think she was expecting him to pull off his whole back.
Yummy.
But yes, what do you think about how quickly Wayne can heal, even when trying to heal slowly to conserve his stored health?
Pretty intense.
Do you have any thoughts, Darkness?
I was just wondering what the extent of the healing factor is.
It seems like you do quite a bit of healing. A small amount of
Yeah,
gold.
but would it activate on like miniature things, you know?
The question is,
what
can
if
you
get
choose what to heal?
Right, but I'm asking let's say, how do I explain this?
Say what?
Let's say I wonder if like let's say he's like going through like teenagehood or whatever, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then it's like he has like a pimple or something. Would he just like heal the fuck out of that pimple?
He could probably heal the pimple, yeah.
So like it works on literally anything that is like not meant to originally be there.
I'd assume so.
Does he scar?
I don't think he does. So Waxton tells Wayne that he's going to go look for any servants that were caught in the explosion, and that Wayne and Marassi should sneak around back. Marassi doesn't know why they should sneak, but Wayne says that the person who hired the butler will be expecting them all to be dead. Waxton heads off, finding two maids in the pantry and seeing the coachman outside. He assumes that Telum sent away all the staff he could and then drugged the others and hid them somewhere safe. Once putting the unconscious maids where someone would find them, Wax heads out of the house. He thinks that the butler must have been working with whomever wanted to kill him for a while, and that was one of the reasons Telum had kept trying to dissuade Wax from getting involved. So what do you think about the butler making sure the other servants were safe?
What if he was forced into it?
I don't
Maybe.
know about that.
What if somebody just like manipulated him and was like using the emotional metals or whatever, and they were like, "Oh, you got to do this to make sure to like incapacitate him just a little bit. He won't get too hurt, and then he'll stop doing what he's not supposed to be doing, you know?" And then the butler's like, "Okay, yeah, for sure." And then it turns out that it was a lot bigger explosion than they promised.
Hmm.
I don't know about that.
I mean, he
feel
didn't
like
try and
that's
shoot him in the
pressure.
head before the explosion.
Okay, but like it was like a little shot, you know, like
Yeah, okay.
that no one ever dies from that.
I'm pretty sure he was trying to kill Wax.
Yeah, I think so too.
No, they were like wholesome, you know. It's fine.
Uh-huh, sure.
I'm not in
Poison
denial
and
or anything.
bullets
No,
and
you're really
explosions
not
are
in denial.
definitely
100% not in denial, Darkness. I understand that.
No,
Also, what do you think about the fact that whomever the butler was working for has obviously been keeping an eye on Wax for a while now?
it's probably one of the fucking people that are like, you know how we were talking about who's like really behind it and all that.
Mhm.
If it's like nobles or whatever, high society right there,
Mhm.
or if it's like out in the roughs, it's probably just the like people that he like interacts with. It's probably one of them.
Mm.
A couple of them. Could be a whole council actually.
I mean, it seems like a guy he knew out in the rough miles is potentially part of it.
Yeah, but I mean, like the ones that are in the city also need connections out in the roughs,
Mm.
because or maybe the roughs need connections in the city regardless. But still, they would still work together regardless. So
All right. So we have our overview questions. First of all,
that was it.
yeah, that was it. What do you think
No,
Wax, Wayne, and Marassi will find at the Vanisher's hideout?
lots of women.
Absolutely nothing. It's going to be completely cleaned out.
What if the women are returned? Not like returned, but like as in like
Mm.
they go back, right? Right,
Oh,
but they go back pregnant,
and
Don't
how
know.
would... Okay. Trying to...
right?
I'm confused on how that would, like, help the people's cause.
Well, at
Um,
that point, if they keep it right, don't know how that thing works in there, but if they keep it right and they raise it, all they gotta do is work with the child as soon as like it grows up.
Would the child want to work with their mother's rapist, though?
I feel like that's
Or will they
grooming.
have a choice if they just fucking take them?
I mean, yeah.
That way they don't have to deal with raising the fucking child. Well, personally, that's what I would do, honestly. Anyway,
Yeah, but we already understand you're evil.
I am not. What are you talking about?
Also, do you think Wax and Wayne are going to continue to get targeted by whomever the butler was working for?
Wait, the butler was
As soon as they
working for
find out,
someone?
as soon as they find out that they're still alive, yes.
Do you agree that the person behind that is probably the head of the Vanishers, person the butler is working for, or do you think it's someone else? Because that seems to be what I think Wax is
No.
assuming.
Nope.
You think it's
I
something
feel like
different?
the head of the Vanishers, right, or
Mhm.
whatever it is they're called, has people, like I said, right?
Mhm.
And one of those people are the ones that are trying to get rid of him.
But it's not like the whole group wants to get rid of Wax, just one person does?
Yeah. One person or a council of people underneath the person that is in charge.
What do you think, Mythic? Do you think the person trying to kill Wax is related to the Vanishers?
Yes.
If it turns out that it's a whole different faction, I'm just gonna like stop. It's actually Harmony, he took over.
So do you think Miles, if Wax is right about him working for the Vanishers, is working for the thieving group or the bigger group that's behind them?
Bigger group, if it's true, yeah.
Hmm.
Wait, who?
So
Miles?
remember, yeah, Miles.
Okay.
So like, if Miles is working with that group, like Wax thinks, do you think he's working for just like the thieving group
The
or like
bigger group.
the bigger group? Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, if the group funding the Vanishers is trying to breed Allomancers, what do you think their end goal is? Like, do you think it's
Create
an
an army.
army? Do you think
Mistborn.
it's just restoring the
I think they.
powers?
I think they're trying to create another Mistborn.
Yeah.
Why do you think they're trying to create another Mistborn though? Do you think it's like to have like a powerful ally, or do you think it's to like just bring back Mistborns in general?
Maybe
Or what if a
Spook-
prophecy
maybe
was
Spook is-
spoken and we just don't know?
Yeah, maybe Spook is dying and he needs a new body.
I mean, Spook's potentially been dead for over 200
not
years at this
dead.
point.
He's not dead.
Maybe
we
they
already
just-
know this.
Or no, you know what? Mythic can be totally right. And you could be right too, where he's just dead. The fact that like
Trying to create a new
he's
one.
powerful or whatever, considering that he was like Mistborn or whatever, and Harmony
Mhm.
helped him out and all that. Can you imagine the amount of like investiture and stuff he has in him?
Do you think maybe he's a cognitive shadow hanging out with Kelsier?
Yeah, and like, what if he just needs a new body? And these people have figured that out,
Mm.
and they want their little Lord Ruler Junior back.
So we know that Kelsier
Yeah.
should be around somewhere because he's a cognitive shadow. He is just kind of immortal soul at this point. Where do you think he is? What do you think he's doing?
We can say God. It's understandable. It's a God.
He's
Honestly, no,
he's a
wait, you're not
cognitive
even that
shadow.
off, because like technically, would he not just be a god at this point?
No, he's still just a cognitive shadow.
Okay, but like, what defines a god?
In this world, a god is someone who holds a shard of Adonasium.
He's totally a God, though. He's being praised.
Well, technically,
No, whoa. That's not true. That's not true. Because they thought in. Are you talking about only in this like series?
No, because although they called the returned gods, I'm assuming that's what you're going to. They weren't
Yes.
technically gods; they're just cognitive shadows.
But they were gods, though. They were
called them-
claimed as gods.
They were claimed
Just
as-
like these are claimed as gods.
So
Midnight. But Kelsier had a whole religion after him.
Yeah, he
Yeah,
still
so
has a
returned.
whole religion
So
after.
what I'm specifying as is I'm kind of making a distinction between, yes, you can worship someone as a god, and then there's like the actual gods of the Cosmere. I'm trying to make a distinction between someone who's being worshipped as a god versus someone who actually holds a shard of Adonasium.
How would you get rid of his immortality, quote unquote immortality?
I'm assuming you'd have to somehow destroy Kelsier's soul. I think he'd have to be like
I think
used
attacked
up.
by Nightblood.
Yeah, like I'm pretty sure Nightblood could kill a cognitive shadow.
Yeah.
Okay, and if this is just me out of like
Cool.
curiosity, trying to figure out how things work. If a person holding a shard who becomes a god, right?
Yeah.
If their shard is shattered, right?
Yes.
They can't handle it and die, right?
They're
Yeah,
dead.
so I believe in shattering a shard, you kill the vessel as well.
They can't survive that.
I don't believe so, not as far as we're aware. Because the vessel is being kept alive by the investiture of the shard.
So
if they
technically,
lose
the only way
investiture-
to kill a god here, right, is to shatter their shard, and the only way to kill Kelsier is to fuck up his soul.
So they're both gods.
They're the same thing. They're just a different book cover.
So I wouldn't say they're the same thing because Kelsier is like a very, very, very lesser version because basically the shards have like infinite investiture. Kelsier
So he's
does
a
not have
lesser
infinite.
god.
I guess so. You could call him I guess you could call Cognitive Shadows demigods. He could be a demigod and a shard is a full god.
So still has the title of God.
Because
I'm
basically
okay with that.
anyone with
I'm okay with
investiture has a little bit of this like power, right? And it's just the amount of power you have, where shards just have an infinite amount, whereas cognitive shadows, invested people, all like everyone with any sort of investiture, no matter what they are, have like a limited amount.
Your face has investiture.
Wow.
Cool.
Did you pull that out of thin air or what? Holy.
Actually, I pulled that out of fat air.
Oh my god, really?
Yeah. So like
Mhm.
how the returned work is, I believe, like the reason why the returned have to keep like ingesting investiture, unlike Kelsier, is because they're keeping their dead body alive and like piloting it.
Okay, and Kelsier is just keeping.
And Kelsier does not, so he's not using up investiture, so he doesn't have to keep getting investiture like a return does.
So technically, right? If we have a vessel for Kelsier, he would have to constantly consume investiture.
Yes, I believe so.
And how would that work in this world?
We don't know because unlike breath, I don't know
You
how
can't just keep feeding him. Yeah.
Yeah, he'd have to
It's
find a
not like-
way. I mean, potentially, if he found the perpendicularity, he could maybe like drink from
It's
the
the-
perpendicularity.
He could drink. Is the investiture in the metal or is it in the people?
I believe it's in the people.
Okay, so you can't even just like fucking shove metal down his throat either.
No. I mean, maybe hemalurgy would be, because you're taking investiture from others and giving it to yourself. So maybe he
So
could,
that
like, hemalurge people and keep spiking himself, using up that investiture, potentially.
would what if he took over a body that has like the healing potential that like Wayne has?
So, I think technically, when we say a person has the investiture, I think what it's supposed to be is it's technically connected to their soul and not so much their body. So if he ejects a soul and takes a body, even if that person was an Allomancer, I don't think he would get their powers.
Okay. Wait, I
Although
thought it was genetic though.
it is, but I don't know enough about, like, the...
Because I feel like so if it's technically no wait so hold on so
Hold on.
Okay, let's say Kelsey, let's say Harmon, no, let's say any other god, right, decided to take over how, like, let's say Ruin was taking over, right,
Okay.
like how he controlled what's his name's brother.
Zane. Ellen's brother
It,
Zane.
no, the other one,
Vin's
the one that became
brother?
a inquisitor.
Oh, how he controlled Marsh. Yeah.
Yeah. Uh, Technically, he was just using what that body was capable of, right?
So he was basically using incredibly strong, I think almost like
Emotional,
emotional
like stuff.
allomancy type
Yeah.
stuff
Okay.
almost.
So it
He
wasn't
was
really
basically
taking over. It was just like
he
mind
wasn't
controlling
like
it.
ejecting Marsh's soul, because Marsh was still there. He was just basically mind
Yeah.
controlling him.
He just had him bound and gagged.
Yeah.
Uh huh.
Because
Okay.
Marsh's soul never left his body. Marsh was always still there.
Okay. Have we ever had an instance where they take over someone's body?
I don't think we've ever seen a soul be ejected from a body and then get back into the body.
Okay, no, but I'm not asking that. Like, if there's any type of like, like, let's say even if the soul is still there, like if some like god or something wanted to like
Well, yeah, that's
speak
basically the
or
mind
move
control
or
thing
do
I was
anything.
talking about. Like they can, like, as you said, like we saw Ruin basically puppet Marsh's body while Marsh was still in it.
Right, right. But could he use his own powers through that body, or would he be able to
Yes,
use
he was
only
able to
that body's
use.
powers?
He was able to use any powers that Marsh had, because Marsh also had like the hemalurgical spike, so he was like
So
basically
he was able to
famous
use
for it.
any powers that Marsh had.
Yes. So if Kelsey took over a body that still had a soul in it, maybe he could use their powers. But then he's like
Okay.
trapping another person's soul in there with him.
Okay, but he could just choose a bad person.
So yeah, so it sounds like you can use their powers if you're basically mind controlling, puppeteering them, but you can't if you eject their soul, as far as I'm aware.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Huh. That's interesting. More lore. more predictions and stuff. Theories.
Yes, good. Do you have any other thoughts or theories, Mythic?
My head hurts.
Much thinking.
You know, you could give Mythic a little bit of a birthday present and tell him if we see any of them again.
What? No, I don't want that.
Mythic
I don't
doesn't
want
want
that.
spoilers.
I don't. Yeah, I really don't. I just like catching you when you give them.
Mythic
that's
doesn't
right.
want spoilers. No spoilers. Mythic's too good at predicting things anyways. He doesn't need spoilers.
Right.
I'm not really trying at this point. I should though.
So next episode we'll be reading 4 chapters. We'll be reading 10 through 13, the normal length episode instead of a shorter one like it was this week. So 10 through 13 next week. Yeah, thank you guys all so much for watching.
You're welcome.
I think did I put this in the I put this in the wrong chat. I put it in general instead of the Shardbreaker podcast.
Wow,
That's
everyone's
not where
gonna
that
make
goes.
fun of you now.
No, it's definitely not where that goes.
Yep. Okay, there we go. Chapter 10 through 13 for next week. Thank you to everyone for listening, and thank you to our Patreons, Hubris, Calvin Dies in Book 3, and Kyle. We appreciate you very, very much, and we hope to see you next time. Bye!
Bye.